BT, we've just been sold off to the Saudi Arabian government.
Inshallah, Jack. Initiating rapid adaptation protocols.
Alright, so EA just got bought out for over $52 billion, so let's talk about what that means. First up, let's look at the investors. The first is the Silver Lake investment firm, and I honestly couldn't find anything half interesting about these guys. They're a typical private equity firm that buys up companies, restructures them for maximum profit, and sells it on for a fat payday. Private equity is a key driver of enshittification for every industry it touches, so just their involvement probably spells bad news. The other two investors are Infinity Partners and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. I put these together because Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund basically is Infinity Partners. There's a lot we could go into here, but Infinity was formed by Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner in 2021. Kushner was a huge figure in the first Trump administration, at one point being his de facto campaign manager, and later being his go-to advisor for the Middle East. Kushner was accused of nepotism during his time in office, and I mean, it's a pretty strong case. Anyone could have done that job, but the position went to Trump's son-in-law who had zero diplomatic experience. I mean, Kushner cozied up to the Saudi government so much that only 6 months after he left the Trump administration, they were handing over $2 billion to his brand new investment firm. And the Saudi Public Investment Fund didn't even want to invest in Infinity. Their advisors said it was, quote, unsatisfactory in all aspects. Jesus, that's something you should only hear from your ex-wife. Anyway, the whole thing is heavily suspected to be a thinly veiled way to bribe the Trump family. And yeah, a firm solely owned by Trump's son-in-law with 20 employees managing $2 billion and no investor return in 3 years. I don't know what to tell you. As for the Saudi investment fund, this also has quite a bit of history. In 1970, Saudi Arabia started to realize that it would be monumentally fucked if it didn't start planning for a post-oil future. The government would then start a sovereign wealth fund and put money into everything from startups, banks, and stupid mega projects. There's nearly $1 trillion in this fund, and they have their money fucking everywhere. I actually found out earlier this year that the rights to monetize my channel had been sold to the Saudi investment fund. That's not the case anymore, but let's be honest, I'd make Saudi content for free. Number 15, Jamal Khashoggi. The last thing you want when you're criticizing the Saudi government is to be chopped up into little pieces, but as it turns out, that might be what you get. A secondary goal of the fund, especially in recent years, is to improve Saudi Arabia's pretty fucked image on the world stage. They usually do this with sports washing. They'll just pour shit tons of money into hosting sporting tournaments, or just buy up teams to clean up their image. And this also extends to video games. I mean, fucking Saudi Arabia won the 2023 Overwatch World Cup. They beat the USA, China, and South Korea at video games. Anyway, EA was just bought by a private equity firm, an investment company that exists to bribe the president's family, and a country that would probably have me killed if I was one of its citizens. Already we're off to a good start. As for what that means for EA, that's kinda hard to say. The purchase is the largest leverage buyout ever, meaning this is kind of unexplored territory. The company's taken on $20 billion in debt financing to make this happen, and that debt has to be paid off somehow. Likely what this means is a round of layoffs, as well as a tighter focus on what already works for the company. Its sports money printers, The Sims, Battlefield, Apex, and their Star Wars games won't be going anywhere, but other franchises might not be so lucky. Only a few years ago, EA cancelled a fucking first-person Mandalorian game, made by the same team that made Titanfall. That seems like something that would just print money, but now they have to be even more conservative. You're probably wondering about how this might affect Titanfall, and honestly, I wish I had good news. Titanfall 2 sold less than a third of Battlefield 1, and that game basically came out at the same time. You also have to consider that making a sequel risks cannibalizing the Apex player base, and that's one of their biggest moneymakers. We might just get another Titanfall game, but even if we do, they'll be cranking that monetization needle as high as they can turn it. One of the few silver linings for the buyout is that although EA will probably play it pretty safe, it also has the luxury of being way more ambitious. With no quarterly earnings reports, CEO Andrew Wilson can just say, "G'day mates, we want to make a rinky-dink Mass Effect MMO. It'll take us donkey's years and a money pile bigger than a Toowoomba townhouse, but we'll be making a ridgy-didge Bunnings-sized stack of diggy dough in no time, if you know what I mean." I do not, but go ahead anyway. According to the Financial Times, quote, "The investors are betting that AI-based cost cuts will significantly boost EA's profits in the coming years." I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound good. It's hard to know where they intend to use AI, because there's AI and AI. Because let's be honest, AI tools do have their merits. I mean, we use that shit to clean up our audio and make shit posts, and you guys don't give a shit. There is a worrying risk that instead of being a tool that developers can use to cut down on menial work, it's just going to be used to make less developers make more generic shit. Again, we really haven't seen how AI is going to shape the industry, but the cynic in me says this is probably bad news. How the purchase will affect EA's creativity is another question, but I think this will be more subtle than people expect. EA isn't going to take same-sex relationships out of The Sims because the Saudi government is giving it money. You're not going to see rainbow flags in the Saudi version, but they don't give a shit if Americans are making Ram Ranch in their Sims games. I can't see it meaningfully impacting their other titles either. Battlefield's campaigns have started leaning into fictional factions anyway. I guess Russia just isn't as scary as it once was. Self-censoring isn't exactly a new thing either. In Modern Warfare 1, half the campaign was set in an unnamed country that was probably Saudi Arabia, but you never heard them say it. And the 2019 remake was borderline revisionist, swapping the US for Russia in the Highway of Death mission. I mean, you look at Activision's higher management, and you've got a guy who previously worked as a US defense contractor, a torture apologist who worked under the Bush administration, and a former COO of the CIA. Maybe I'm bugging, but I'm more worried about that. Ultimately, I don't think Saudi money is going to be influencing much in terms of content. I mean, they weren't about to set Titanfall 3 in the Middle East.
Come in, Jack. Intelligence tells us that the IMC is working with the Iraqi government to build weapons of mass destruction. Get to Baghdad and report back. Good luck, pilot.
All right, BT. We're here to save the Iraqis and get payback on Saddam Hussein for 9/11. It's funny, I haven't seen any sign of the IMC since we got here.
Jack, this whole invasion is predicated on a lie. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. Saudi terrorists operating from Afghanistan planned and orchestrated the attack.
BT, what in the ever-loving fuck are you talking about?
You need to listen to me carefully, Jack. Vice President Dick Cheney is not to be trusted. There are no weapons of mass destruction. Jack, this is important. You need—
Hi there, fellas. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is dropping by later, so we're cancelling Titanfall 3. Go make more skins for Apex Legends. Consumers really shouldn't be worried about censorship. They should be worried about how aggressive monetization is about to become, how EA uses AI, and which games get greenlit. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Titanfall, a lot of franchises have been financially underperforming for EA, and if it's not safe, they might not be prioritized. But we currently have such a minuscule amount of information right now that the best we can do is theorize. The deal isn't even expected to close until mid next year at the earliest, meaning we'll probably get GTA 6 on PC before we really understand how this acquisition affects EA's games. For now, I'm just happy that Battlefield 6 looks good. I'm gonna play the shit out of that. Subscribe for more.